Hello, guys. And this is just a quick intro to say, please like, comment, share, and subscribe on this channel. I've been bowled over by how it's growing this year, and I know lots of you absolutely love the guests that I have on. And if you're feeling flush, buy me a coffee /Mel Clark. No, I'm not a grifter. No, I'm not a scrounger. But when you spend all your time fighting the system and also doing podcasts to get great value out for people like you, and YouTube don't want to monetize you, it gets a bit challenging. Well, hello, lovely listeners. Welcome, viewers. Today I have the wonderful Philly L. Philly J. Lay. I don't know why I want to say Philly LJ. Why does that make sense to me? But anyway, Philly is the host of the podcast The Wellness Way, and that catapulted into the top 2% globally with 13 number one slots on the Apple podcast charts. Wow. She is the author of the Natural Wellness Journal and The Wellness Way, Your Natural Health Systems. You are also an EFT matrix reimprinting practitioner. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that. I know about EFT and I know, yeah, and I know about the matrix something or other.
Reimprinting, matrix reimprinting.
Yeah, there was something that a friend of mine was doing a long time ago. It was something to do with Matrix, and I can't remember what the hell it was. You're also a Soma Breathwork coach and a long-standing advocate for health and that of the planet, discovering that everything is connected. Yeah, absolutely. And
Absolutely.
yeah, you had a near-death medical procedure, years of PTSD. You were addicted to opioids and alcohol whilst coping with grief, resulting in a range of chronic illnesses, including a tumor in your throat. But you discovered personalized natural medicine and the associated miracles of the body and the power of the mind. Perfect for my audience, Billy.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Mel, just want to say a massive thank you for having me on the show. It's lovely to be here, darling.
Oh, absolutely. So me and Philly have already sort of got to know each other on text because the wonderful Joy Warren, who is the head of the Fluoride Free Alliance UK, who's my neighbour, literally just lives there. She is speaking at Philly's event on what are the dates, Philly?
Well, I've got my first festival.
Woo!
You say an event, it's a festival. Yes, on the 8th to the 10th of August at Wasing Park, the magical Wasing Woodlands, and Joy Warren, the phenomenal Joy Warren, is going to be one of our speakers. I had Joy on my podcast back in the early days, and she's an explosion of information that everybody should listen to. So I'm going to do a big shout out. She's also going to be on a panel on toxicity, because we're being poisoned from every direction, from our water, from our skies, from our soil. But I'm here as living proof that the body is hugely resilient. And when you know what to do, and that is mind, body, and spirit, you can completely reverse anything that's gone on in your life, and you can live these happy, healthy, fulfilled lives.
Absolutely. That sounds
And
amazing.
that's what the festival's about.
That's what the
It's just
festival's
showing
about.
everybody all the things. So we've got the wonderful Barbara O'Neill headlining, and we have Charles Dowding headlining, because everything is connected. Our health is connected to everything around us. And, if you're not looking after the soil, you're not looking after yourself. And we've got Gaz Oakley, who I'm very excited about meeting, because I've met him once briefly. But he was a chef in London. And now he's this massive homesteader in Wales. And I'm addicted to his Instagram. So, as are 1.6 million other people. So, yeah, we've got a huge lineup. And we've also got kind of loads and loads. There's going to be 3 stages going the whole time. And we're doing workshops in Philly's kitchen as well. So people can come in and learn how to cook good food, because it's all about the connections, obviously, with fluoride free water. It'll all be filtered. But it's all about connecting everything and just forming the habits so that we can change this wonderful new world. And just, it's coming. I know it's coming.
Yeah, I know. And there's a lot of people going, Well, we've had enough now. We've had enough. We want
We're
it.
tired now.
We want it today, but I think there's still a way to go, a short way to go. But we're definitely winning. We're definitely getting there. Yeah, I mean, we're hoping to get there as well. We're hoping to get there on the Friday and enjoy some of the Saturday. But as I said to you, we've got an event a bit later on that day. So super excited for that, and obviously to see Joy and Barbara O'Neill.
And on the Friday, it's the 8th of the 8th. So at 8 o'clock,
Oh,
we have the wonderful AJ Roberts doing the Lionsgate portal opening.
amazing! So we've definitely got to come for that. Wow. It just seems like yesterday when it was the Lionsgate 8-8 portal, and Jesus, you've just said it. I'm like, oh my God, we're there again. It's
I know.
this year is again has flown. So I would love, and the viewers and the listeners love a bit of a backstory. And obviously, I've read some of your just a very short bio there, but in terms of what you've been through. So if you want to take us back as far as you want to go back, but I'm personally interested, Philly. Were you just living a normal life, hadn't really thought about all the crap that's going on in the world? Were you just getting on with things until you got ill? Or were you always a bit alternative and thought and saw things differently?
I was a mix of both.
Yeah.
So I was a very West London mother. I grew up, first of all, I'll say I grew up, my dad started Pick Your Own Strawberries in the UK when he came back from World War II, and he'd saved just enough money as a pilot to buy a field, and he planted it up with strawberries. And he thought that him and mum could harvest them, but the following year came and they had no money left, and they were just watching the plants, the strawberries rot on the plants. And my mum went inside and she painted a sign and said, I'm going to pop this up on the main road, Philip. And it just said, pick your own. So I was lucky enough to grow up on the land. So I knew quite a lot about the land. My parents were incredibly poor, but I was lucky enough to get a full grant to go off to ballet school when I was 11 years old. And so I knew a bit about diet and nutrition as well. I knew a bit about the land. But then I kind of went on to be this West London pushy mother with daughters in the private school sector, doing all the galas and all the balls and kind of all of that shit. But now I just couldn't imagine saying which I have to do it tonight. I'm shortlisted for 2 awards at the Speakers Awards.
Yeah.
So I had to look through my wardrobe because I spend all my time barefoot with my hands in soil if I'm not at a laptop working. So if yeah, so tonight I will step back for a moment into my old life, but it was a very different old life. But then I knew in 1996 it was, they brought in the first testing for GMOs. And I just thought, no, 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 no. And by then my father was dead, so I couldn't talk to him about it. But strawberry plants in the UK in the 50s and 60s had this terrible disease called red core, which nearly wiped them out. And my dad came up with something to completely reverse that and heal the plants. And so he took it to an agri-giant, where they said, that is marvelous, Mr. Lay. We're going to buy it off you, but we don't have much money. So we're just going to give you a very small advance, but we're going to give you a really big royalty. And then they buried it, obviously. It was Epsom salt and seaweed was the cure.
Wow.
For, a crop that is synonymous to the UK and nearly got wiped out. And it was only people like my dad and his friend Daisy Ford that spread the word around the growers and kept strawberries going in this country. But
Wow. Absolute arseholes, aren't they?
oh, arseholes. And then my brother took over in the 80s. He took over the land. And there was it was then a clothing chain. It was most famous as a clothing chain that was going into food. And they went on to become one of the biggest food chains in the UK. And Dave, my brother, because it was only a small field, he couldn't be a supplier. So he put a consortium together. And by that point, my father's generation, and my father wasn't well, he had Parkinson's disease, which in his letters to my mother that I found after her death, he explains came on after the plague inoculation that he had.
Wow.
in India during the war. And he wrote my mum a beautiful Dear John letter saying how much he loved her, but the shaking and the migraines hadn't stopped since the inoculation 18 months ago, and therefore he couldn't marry her.
Oh,
So there's obviously something written in my background here that gave me enough of gave me roots, really, not to always accept. But I'll come back to Dave, my brother. He put this consortium together, and they supplied this chain, and a class, Dave was growing lettuce, and a class A1 lettuce went up from 4 ounces to 12 ounces in a matter of months. That takes a shitload of chemicals. It's not possible organically. And I remember watching him walking up and down the field in a mask with the sprayer, great big long arms going out, spraying the fields. But it was summer and he was without a t-shirt. So he'd wear a mask, and he didn't know that the skin was the largest organ of the body. And within 2 years, Dave was dead, as were all the other young men in our village that had joined this consortium.
really?
Yeah, a whole generation. All of that land is now laying derelict. There are no growers there anymore. It's a whole village virtually wiped out.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you do anything about that in terms of, trying to get retribution against the...
I didn't know anything about it then. It was only when I started my healing journey that I realized, oh my God, that's why they're all dead.
Yeah.
And it was, with my dad knowing about the injection and everything, it was something that I discovered the letter after Mama died. And I was just kind of starting on my healing journey. So I hadn't quite got there yet, but I'd been very ill for a couple of years. I've been in bed. So yeah, I was, it wasn't a huge leap for me to realize what was happening. And everybody thought I'd gone mad.
Yeah.
Left my old life kind of pretty much behind, and started my journey. And then when 2020 happened, it was just like, not on my bloody watch, you don't. If everybody knew the powers that we have, and not just, through diet and nutrition, although that's where I started, but the power of the mind, it is extraordinary. We all have this ability, but we're sent to school. Well, we're conditioned from the moment we come out.
Yeah.
We are there, we are traded and signed up and then suppressed so that we do what they want. This system has been very cleverly put in place for a very long time, hundreds of years.
So you obviously mentioned the medical mispractice and what happened there. So you were already ill at this point and you were having some kind of procedure.
Okay, so what happened was, and again, I thought it was because I trained as a dancer. I had a bad back, and I had a bad back, quite a lot of my life. And 15 years ago, I had what they call a prolapse. So they did surgery, and the disc had collapsed, and they just kind of shaved off what had prolapsed out of it rather than getting to the root cause. And they did say to me that disc, and it's the bottom disc of my spine that went. Now, that is the root chakra, the spine in metaconsciousness, which is the emotional background to every dis-ease.
Yeah.
That's why it's called dis-ease, is very much, support, not feeling supported. And I wasn't feeling very supported when the first one went. And then it happened again 2 years later, and it happened 4 months after my sister died, very, very quickly with motor neurons disease. And I had to take to my bed, and I couldn't walk. We brought a physio in every day. And then it got to the point where I could only drag my leg, and I started wetting myself. And when you wet yourself, it's time to have surgery when you can no longer control your bladder. So I was rushed to hospital, and I had a spinal fusion. And they missed my spine with the anaesthetic, and I nearly died. And I spent, I've told this story a bit, but I think it's really important for your audience to hear it again, because my life was absolutely not saved that day by a surgeon, but by the registrar of the hospital. And she just stayed by my bed and held my hand. And she just kept saying, find your happy place. Where's your happy place? Let's go to your happy place. And I couldn't. And that's a-okay. The body is extremely clever. It knew that I couldn't come back into this world yet. They couldn't, basically, when they miss your spine with the anesthetic, I was out for the operation, which is a long, complicated 6-7 hour operation, where they cut out all the discs, they cut the bones, they cut all the nerve endings off, they put a metal cage in, and then they reconnect it all. But what they're meant to do is beforehand put an epidural in, so that when you come round, you've got that pain relief and you can't feel it.
Feel it, yeah.
That is what they missed. And they're meant to do that as a procedure. So they're meant to check that epidural's in, test that you don't have any feeling, and then knock you out. And they didn't do that. It was done the wrong way around. So basically, my body just shut down. And I only found this out a few years later, back in 2020, because obviously 2020 was a lovely time for me, spending a lot more time with my children and my ex-husband. And I found out at my daughter's birthday that this had happened, and the happy place stuff. And the children said to me, we came in, Mama, and we were told to say goodbye to you. That's why we were in.
I remember hearing this because you were on James Delingpole, and I don't know how long ago it was now that I listened to it. I think it's been within the last year, hasn't it? And I was like, how could they have not have said anything until 2020? I didn't get that.
It was a mystery to me. I was obviously in a really, really bad place. When I came out of hospital, and when they brought me around, they could then start giving me medication again. So I had a little morphine drip. So I was just pushing it the whole time, and I was in a terrible state. I was taken home. I had my own bedroom. I was set up there. I had tremendous postnatal depression, and I was heavily addicted to opioids and alcohol. There was a mum at school that used to pick my girls up and take them to school when Danny was traveling. And she remembers that should I walk in at 8 o'clock in the morning with the girls to, say goodbye to you for the day. And you would literally be downing handfuls of opioids with a bottle of wine.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was that bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and then, over the next kind of couple of weeks and things, and I don't have many recollections, but Danny kept saying, we've got to go and see a lawyer. This is medical malpractice, whatever the word is, can't remember.
Yeah. Malpractice.
Malpractice, that's the one. Medical malpractice. But I couldn't go and see a lawyer. And he said, you literally just have to go in there and tell them what happened, and they have to physically see what you're like now.
Yeah.
I said, I can't. I can't. There's nothing in me. And I cried the whole time. I couldn't get out of bed. And so everybody kind of treated me with kid gloves. And it was a very slow process, my healing journey. And I think they just kind of thought, the children were young, they were 10 and 12. And so you don't really go, as a child, you don't really go and have those discussions with your mum, kind of going, oh, I thought you were dead, mother. It's, they were just so relieved that I wasn't dead and that I was at home.
And you don't want to speak it at that age either, do you? Because if you speak it, it's...
Yeah, and I didn't want to talk
to
anybody. And so, it was literally at Talia's 21st birthday that I got told. And it was like, wow, didn't know that one. But it was a horrible 2 years in my bed, completely. My health spiraled out of control. I didn't really get out, didn't talk to anybody. if anybody even touched my bed. And I remember, the children kind of sitting there, and Tal would wiggle her foot and occasionally it would touch the bed and I'd just start screaming. And she'd go, I didn't touch the bed. And I'm going, you did touch the bed. I can feel it. And they really didn't think, I was not a nice person to be around, really.
Understandable.
And I had a lot of autoimmune diseases. I had a frozen shoulder. I had chronic fatigue, chronic brain fog. It was just horrible. And then one day I noticed this big lump in my throat that turned out to be a tumour. I was going through a huge amount of grief at the time. And as I said, kind of the spine going, the bottom disc of the spine was very much, I emotionally didn't feel that I'd supported my sister, and I felt that I'd had no support when she died. I remember the day she died, actually, and Danny, my now ex-husband, was traveling, and he traveled a lot. And I phoned him to tell him that Trish was dead. And I was sobbing my heart out. So he picked up his phone and I'm just sobbing and I can barely talk. And he's going, what's wrong? What's wrong? Are the children all right? And yet he'd left 48 hours earlier, knowing that my sister was going to die any moment. But it never equated to him that Trish had gone. But this period of life, I also lost a very dear friend of mine, Sarah, to cancer, and I lost my best friend and soulmate, Polly, to chemo. But that was after I found the tumor. But she was going through this horrible process, and she had ovarian cancer. And so because I couldn't get out of bed, Danny bought me an iPad. Because I've never had TVs in bedrooms. So I've always been a little bit away. Now I don't have a TV. But even back then, it was just like, no, they don't belong in a bedroom.
No, they definitely don't.
No. And so I started going through using this iPad. I had to learn because I was shit at technology. But I went on Facebook. Danny joined me up to Facebook so I could kind of keep connected with people because I didn't see anybody anymore. And then I started discovering, it was before the really heavy censorship that we have now. But on Facebook, I discovered something called The Truth About Cancer, which is a docuseries. And so I watched it. And I was thinking more about Sarah and Polly. And so it was just like, oh my God, when you start learning about, the industry, the medical industry, and, who funded World War II, when they started putting fluoride in water, what they were doing with it, it was just like, oh my God. So I watched that, and then they're really great. They put it out for free. You can watch it every day, but I bought the series and I watched it over and over and over again. Partly because I kept falling asleep, so I had to keep starting it again, but I did. And then they brought out a series, The Truth About Detox, which again was to do with all the things that we needed to detox from. And I bought that series and watched it over and over and over again. I started following on Facebook all of these doctors and people that were speaking, like Dr. McCullough, kind of discovered Bobby Kennedy. Then I watched The Truth About Vaccines, and I'm just like, what the actual fuck have they done to us? What have they done to us? And so when I found the tumour in my throat, I went to my GP because I was scared. And he looked at me, and the last time he had seen me was 2 years earlier. And I was in a lot of pain. I dragged my leg, but I still looked kind of quite fit and young and thin. And then I was just this kind of big lump of a woman that looked horrific. I mean, horrific. And he kind of went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Why didn't you come and see me? I went, because I never wanted to see another doctor again in my life.
Yeah.
But now I do. So I ended up seeing 4 consultants in 4 days, and I kept saying to all of them, is it connected? What's going on here? How is it connected in my body? I want to know. And they have no idea. They are not taught to connect the body. It's like, I'm taking the tumour out and I will try and save half your thyroid. I'm operating on your frozen shoulder. It's a 20% success rate. And while we're waiting, here's a steroid jab. And I remember the scream that I let out. He said it
Oh,
didn't hurt. It was a little prick in the arm. And I felt physically sick and violated,
they're
actually.
really big needles, aren't they, those steroids?
Huge,
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was agony. So I had the tumour out because I was made to be scared. They put you in fear. And then I just said, I said to Danny, I'm giving up Western medicine. I'm done. And he said, well, you can't because you've only got half a thyroid. So you've got to be on thyroxine for the rest of your life. And I went, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. Um, and it caused a lot of friction, as you can imagine, in my marriage and my other relationships with friends and family.
Yeah, because they
Nobody,
think you're being careless.
yeah,
What about us? You know, if you're, it's all right for you not to take these tablets or whatever, or chemo or whatever, but then you're shortening your life, and then and so they're coming at it from their perspective. They're not coming at it from the person that's ill.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're just being selfish.
Yes. Yeah.
But I knew, I trusted my gut. I had enough wisdom in me that I knew that I could do something about this. And so I thought, okay, Philly, get on with it. So I started with diet and nutrition. Only place I knew to start. Everything organic. Gave up gluten, sugar, um, all sugars, including carbohydrates. Went on to a completely. I gave up meat for quite a while.
Did you do this as a self-diagnosis? Did you just think, right, I'm going to try this, or were you taking advice?
I was just looking on the internet and trying myself. Um, then I learned about fasting. So when I watched the series The Truth About Detox, I'd learned about intermittent fasting. So I thought, okay, I've got to go away and do a really big fast. So I took my children off to this lovely retreat in Malta called Amchara, and I love them there, and they've been very instrumental in my healing journey. And I said, okay, we're going to fast, and I'm going to spend copious amounts of time every day having coffee enemas shoved up my arse, darlings. So this is what Mum was doing, and I'm going to get better. And they're looking at me going,
Okay, back on, Mom.
and Tali always jokes about it now because she did a drinking game in lockdown because she was stuck in a uni house and invented this drinking game which is in Argus and
Oh,
everywhere.
wow.
And I kind of said to her, can you just do something that can be played with shots? And she said to me, the only reason that I can do alcoholic shots like I do, Mother, is because you took me to Amchara when I was basically a kid, just a teenager. She said, and you made me do ginger, turmeric, beetroot, wheatgrass, all these shots every day that were so disgusting. So that when somebody gave me a tequila, it was just like, well,
Oh, this is nice.
this is better than Mother brought me up. So yeah, I did a really big detox, um, completely sugar, gluten-free, everything for 6 months. But when I did occasionally eat gluten, I came out in these huge rashes all over my body that were very painful. And then within, a few minutes, I felt like I was being strangled. Then I'd vomit, then I get diarrhea. And then I go, okay, that sandwich wasn't worth it. So
No.
I cut it out again. So I kind of wondered, I was going back and seeing my doctor then. He was very supportive about the fact that I wanted to give up Western medicine, and I hadn't started my big revamp, but, I went and spoke to him and said, and he advised against it, but I said, this is what I want to go away and do. But he said to me, well, actually, that was a bit later. About 2 years later, I went back to see him because I needed a referral to have my thyroid test done again. And I remember this so clearly. And I was sitting there, behind a newspaper in the days that I still read newspapers. Now I wouldn't even wipe my bum with them. But I was sitting there behind the paper. And he opened the door and said, Philippa Lay, went back in and sat down at his computer, and I followed and I sat down And he went, one moment, Philippa, and then he kind of swiveled his chair around and he nearly fell off his chair. And he was just going, oh my God, what have you done? And I said,
Wow.
what do you mean? He said, well, I need to know what you've done. I said, well, I told you I was going away to heal myself. He said, no, but I need to know what you've done. He said, you are half the size. You look 10 years younger. I have to know how you did this because I don't know. And he said, one day, will you come and spend half a day with me and just tell me all the things that you've put in place here? Because I'm just baffled. And I said yes, but I never got round to it. But I just said, can I have my thyroid test?
How crazy is that? He's a doctor. I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon. Well, that's a joke anyway, isn't it? To say, oh, let's look at the nutrition. Let's look at what you're putting into your body, because that's where you started. How do these doctors not even go there? It's crazy.
Well, I remember, that 2 years in bed, I listened to a TED talk with Dr. Ranjang Chatterjee, talking about vitamin D deficiency and how he was on holiday with his family and his youngest child, son, got taken very, very ill. And he talks in this TED talk about how frightened he was that they were going to lose their child. And he didn't know, as a GP, he had no idea what was going on. They rushed the boy to hospital. And then after a lot of testing, they came back and said he's completely vitamin D deficient. And Dr. Chatterjee says, how can I, as a GP, not know how important vitamin D is?
Yeah.
And that's kind of when he started his journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I intervened. So you never went back and gave him half a day. Um, but
But
yeah.
2020 happened. And I was watching the propaganda and I was just kind of going, look at me, look at me. I'm living proof that you can do anything. If everybody knew what I knew, they would not be living in fear. And fear is the biggest suppressor of the immune system. 1 minute's fear suppresses the immune system for around 7 hours.
Wow.
1 minute's laughter boosts the immune system for 24 hours. And what did they do? They plunged us in fear.
Yeah.
And I had a lovely time because I had my girls here every other week, and we went for 5K walks, and it was just, I built my garden, and it was just heaven on earth. But I was angry at what was going on, and I was going to the demonstrations, and the first one was only kind of like 300 people, and I thought, where is everybody? Where are all the people? They built up to 2021 when we had over 1 million of us on the streets, and it was amazing. But I remember that first one, and I'd seen a post by Ellie Gray, and I just went and online from somebody I knew. I bought a t-shirt going "fuck the new normal," and I put a mask over my head saying I'm done. Got to London and just kind of thought, there aren't many people here, but we built them, and we got that out. But I just thought, what can I do to serve here? What can I do to wake people up? And so I thought, right, I'm going to write a book on my healing journey. So I started writing a book, which I'm still writing at the moment, called Midlife and Madness. I did in October, and it was going very slowly. In October, I did the Hay House writing course. And I discovered that it was a minimum of a year to write a book and self-publish. And I'm just like, okay, I haven't got a year. What can I do to speed this process up? And one of the things that was very instrumental in my healing journey was journaling. Once I had discovered journaling, so with the diet and nutrition, as I said, I have become vegetarian again, but I wasn't healthy. I lost a huge amount of weight, bordered on anorexic, and a friend of mine came over and said, I think you should put bone broth in your diet. Do you know how to make it? And I said, yeah, my mum used to make it. And she said, will you teach me? And so she bought the bones and all the stuff. And we spent the day making bone broth. And then when she left, she said, I really do think you should drink some of this. And it just felt like nectar, like my body needed it. I also had discovered over that period that I had leaky gut. So, when the gut lining is one cell deep and you put the sugars and the junk in and it just opens up and it's poisoning you. So I put bone broth back in and I started gaining a lot more strength and everything. But my friend had said to me, I think you should write down every day what you're eating. I was about 6.5 stone. I looked like shit.
Wow.
Uh, yeah. For me, I thought I looked brilliant because I trained as a dancer. So
Okay. Yeah.
I thought I looked brilliant, but I look at the photos now and just go, oh my God, yeah, it was bad. So she said, but when you write down what you eat, I think you should write down how it makes you feel. And I said, I don't do shit like that. And then, one day I felt so terrible and I was trying to eat and it was making me feel sick. And I thought, I'm just going to write down what it is, just not to write down my emotions, but to say maybe I need to cut this out because it makes me feel sick. And then I just started writing and writing and writing, and I couldn't put the pen down. And these emotions were just flooding out of me. And I thought, blimey, didn't know those were happening. So I thought, what can I do to write a book quickly? And I thought, I'm going to write the Natural Wellness Journal. And it's a very simple book. And Carl Dawson, who was the creator of Matrix Reimprinting that you spoke about earlier, I gave him a copy and he said, it is actually a book of pure genius, simple, predominantly free tips that you can give people. It was so important to me to make this as accessible and as cheap, affordable. If you can't afford essential oils, go outside and smell the roses, go for a walk in a London park and smell the flowers, smell the trees, hug a tree, get your feet on the ground, do your breath work, do your tapping. It's free. There is so much. Turn your shower to cold for a minute. So much you can do that's free. And then the mindset, which is the really important part. And was a bit of a shock to me when I discovered the mind. I didn't know about that bit.
Before you start talking about that, just to go back to the bone broth, this is just a personal thing. So my son's had some health challenges over the last couple of years. Started off with chronic panic attacks, anxiety, and all of that sort of stuff. He's had a load of physical symptoms as well. And what I mean, he does organic as much as he can. He's one of these that has researched everything, and he was getting better. Now he's relapsed, and it's just ongoing. But one of the times he tried bone broth. He's a very slight lad as well. Like it doesn't take much for him to lose a load of weight. It just went straight through him. Now he bought it. We didn't make it. He bought it. Do you know why that would have happened?
No, I don't. The thing with the body is we are all completely individual. We are all a study of one. And you have to kind of look at what's going on there. And if it's going straight through a body, it means it's not getting absorbed
Yeah.
and the nutrients aren't getting absorbed. Now, there could be a couple of reasons. If you bought it, it could be from not a clean source. Was it organic?
It would have been, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been organic. You don't know kind of the circumstances to which it was made in. It would have had vegetables, maybe herbs in there, one of which could have caused a reaction. And so I always think it is better to make your own. And, I have mine going for a week at a time on the stove. Turn it off every night, put it back on in the morning. You have to make sure you bring it to the boil and leave it to boil for a good 10-15 minutes and then simmer it again all day. And then you can test what you put in it. So for me, all I put in is my vegetable peelings. I keep my vegetable peelings in the fridge all week. And when I start my bone broth, which is normally on a Sunday, I don't do it as much in the summer, but the minute September comes, my bone broth's on the whole time. You can do it in a slow cooker if you're going out to work, but I work from home. And just every time you peel carrot, or you're taking the big chunky stalks off the broccoli, or you just keep throwing it in, and then you just lash it with herbs, so your sage, your rosemary, your thyme, stinging nettles. I always have my stinging nettles in there, and my dandelion root. So it's kind of, I've got those nutrients coming in, the bay leaves, everything. So there was obviously something in it that his body rejected.
Mm.
And when your body rejects something, there's a good reason. Your body's going, I don't like this.
Mm.
Has he tried it since?
No,
Has he tried, have you tried making any for him?
no.
Okay. I'd say that was the next stage, because everything begins in the gut, and well, it doesn't, the mind, but and the heart and the gut. And that's a vagus nerve that connects it all together.
Yeah.
So with depression, that does start in the gut. And it is really important to clean that gut out and then get all the good bacteria in. Has he tried things like fermented foods, kimchi and
Yeah,
sour?
he went through a phase of that. He's not doing it now, but yeah.
No, it's just worth keeping, finding a fermented food that he really likes and putting it in. Something like blue cheese, mold on food is really good for you. We've been told it's bad. Black mold in your home is toxic, but mold on food is basically what penicillin is.
Penicillin, yeah.
It's great for you, and yet the amount of food that's thrown away because there's a bit of mold on it, and it's like, nah, I'll have that, thanks, mate.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'll look into making my own bone broth, so thank you for that. I interrupted you. Sorry. So you then basically said you discovered the mind. So
Yes. So as you can imagine, by the end of this period, my marriage was in a terrible state. And I wasn't an easy woman to live with, and screaming at having fluoride in the toothpaste, and screaming at air fresheners, and screaming at aftershave, and screaming at shoes worn in the house in case there was glyphosate coming in from the street. I mean, yeah, it was an obsession. And it had to be. I mean, it had to be, or I wasn't going to survive this. But Danny and I separated. If you've listened to James Delingpod, you'll know how I did it, which was terrible. But I was at rock bottom, and it was my wedding anniversary. And I went to put a post up, and there was nothing in me that could write happy anniversary. I was so desperately unhappy. And he was. And he kept saying the whole time, as soon as the children go to uni, I'm leaving you. I can't stand you. And I can't fucking stand you. I want you to go now. I'm not going till the children leave uni. And so I took a decision. I did something quite radical. And I wrote, instead of happy anniversary, it is with great sadness that after 22 years, Danny and I have decided to separate. We had a wonderful wedding, two beautiful children, but our lives have gone in different paths. And, your respect and support would be greatly appreciated at this moment. And I posted it.
brave.
Having not told him or my children. Now, none of them were on Facebook, so I didn't think they'd know. And I thought I had the day to rectify that. But of course, all their friends were on Facebook, and they found out very quickly. And again, it was a horrible period of my life. We've managed to stay friends. We were very good friends until he got a new girlfriend who thinks I'm a mad bitch. Banned me from the house, even banned my car from going on the drive to pick up
What?
the children. Yeah. But we still message. He messaged me this morning to tell me that two of his friends had died, and how sad he was, and he sent me the obituary for one of them that he'd written. And I sent my condolences. So it's not that we've separated, but we managed to stay kind of, despite that, we managed to stay good friends. But it was a difficult period in my life. But when I posted this, somebody that I'd known 22 years earlier, because last time I'd actually seen her was at the wedding, sent me a message on Facebook and said, I'm doing a course in September and I think you should come. What's your email? She sent it to me. I looked at the course and it was something called EFT Matrix Reimprint. I'd never heard of it. I looked at the price and I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I had a message from her saying, oh, by the way, it's a gift. And when the universe gives you a gift, you take it. And I thought, okay, I've got nothing to lose. I'll go. And it was in Chiswick, and Danny had moved to Chiswick, and he had the girls that week. So he said, we'll come and, I'll have the dogs and we'll come and meet you for lunch every day. And I'm like, okay, I'll do this. So I went along and everybody's sitting there tapping. And it does look crazy. It mad as shit. And it works on absolutely everything. And it's free. But Matrix Reimprint, you need a practitioner for. But anyway, everybody's sitting there tapping, and I'm thinking, this is very, very strange. I need to go, but I can't go now because it would be rude. So I just won't come in tomorrow. And then 2 hours later, this scream came out of my mouth, which was almost on a par with the scream when they brought me around from the spinal fusion. And I felt like I was being stabbed in the hips. And then I thought I was having a heart attack, and then I couldn't get breath. And I was on the floor. And for all my natural health journey, the one thing I went to, I screamed, get me a fucking ambulance. And nobody did. They kept tapping. And I'm going, what is wrong with these people? And I'm screaming and I'm crying. And Penny lifts me up and puts me on this chair. And she starts tapping on me. And I just remember hitting her and getting, get me a fucking ambulance. I'm dying. She, no. Where in your body can you feel it? I'm having a heart attack. Okay. Oh, no, it's in my hip. And everybody continues to tap. And this is insanity. And the more she tapped with me and the more she took me through the routine of visualizing it, giving it a color, giving it a form, giving it an intensity, where is it now in your body? And we did about 2 hours of this, and then she flicked the slide on the screen and she said, and that was a perfect example of chasing the pain. And I'm like, what just happened here? I'm not sure. And I couldn't go and meet the family for lunch. And I was taken to a room because I'd had a complete what's called an abreaction, adverse reaction. And somebody had to work on me for a long time. Penny, by the way, my trainer and guide, will be at the festival. And the lovely lady that helped me and took me away, Indra, she will also be there doing ancestral healing.
Nice.
So we've got a lovely big yurt. So all of those kind of private, personal things, trauma releases will happen. Kundalini awakenings, we've got the whole lot. They'll all happen in the yurt. But it was a remarkable week of my life. So, tapping is something I believe that everybody should have in their tool bag. And it's one of my daily essentials in my book. Oh, I didn't finish telling the story about my book, but I'll come back to that. It's one of my daily essentials. And but if you want to do matrix reimprinting, you need a practitioner, because what happens is you tap down to a certain suds level, kind of quite a low 1, 1, 2, 3, something like that. And then you have an echo, which is kind of an energetic hologram. And you take that echo out to the matrix, and that echo of your energy can start bringing in other people that they need to talk to. So bringing in parents, bringing in grandparents, bringing in friends that they've had an argument with. Obviously for me, I had a lot of work to do on Danny and my marriage, and and there have been some sexual assault attacks in my life. One when I was 15 by a paedophile, and I had all of that to deal with. And what Matrix Reimprint is just phenomenal is making you feel safe. So when that echo goes out there, you can see your perpetrator and you can make them really small. You can put them behind a glass wall. You can put them in a bubble. You can put yourself in a bubble. You bring in your angel wings. You do everything that you need to do to protect you. And you can't change the past. You can't rewrite history, but you can understand it, and you can give forgiveness, and you can re-imprint how you feel about it now. Emma Jane Taylor, who again will be at our festival, she runs the Not My Shame campaign and the 9010 charity. And, she was sexually abused as a child, and it's not her shame. And when she brought out that T-shirt, it's just like hashtag, it's not my shame.
Mm.
I was a child.
Yeah.
I'm not carrying that shame with me. Off you go. Fuck
Yeah.
off.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. But people
So
do, yeah.
yeah, and through that work, I discovered people like Dr. Bruce Lipton and kind of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's been such a journey,
Yeah.
and everything, absolutely all of it, is connected. And I feel so blessed. I believe very strongly that everything happens for you, not to you.
Mm.
So I come back to my book in 2020, and I thought, how can I get this out? Okay, it's going to be a journal. And I thought, I just want everybody to know all of these tips that I've learned. And I literally downloaded this book from the universe. And I went right back to the beginning, and I did 6 pages about my story, just so people knew why I was writing it. And then I started with diet and nutrition. I did all of the things, and EFT, and I have my daily essentials in there. Tapping is in there, meditation, breath work, turning the shower to cold. I mean, I don't shower every day because I actually think it's incredibly bad for you. And our water is, even if you've got it filtered, we have all of these lovely microbes on our skin, and they don't want to go. And if you've been sunbathing, and I start my sunbathing in March when the frost is out, but if the sun is out, I open my French doors, and there's a big glass wall there, so I just lie inside just to get that 5 minutes a day, but let the solar reflection of the light come through, so that I can start building up my vitamin D. Always do it naked. Get my groin out there, because that's the most absorbent part. Most probably too much information for you. The most absorbent part of your body.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, right.
Yeah. So it's just, but then if you have been sunbathing, and we've had a really beautiful summer this year, it's been lovely, and I think we all know why, because Douche decided to stop their payment to the British government of 50 million to spray our skies. So the government have had to now announce that they're spending 50 million on it, but they had to kind of give us a little break, as if it had never, that there weren't any chemtrails before here in the
Oh,
UK.
they're still up there, though. They're still up there.
Yeah, but just not as many. So we have had a lovely summer.
Yeah.
And even when I'm working, I'm out there naked at the weekends, naked gardening, just getting all of that sunlight. But Barbara O'Neill, she is something that I learned from her, is that, because obviously you sweat, and that is great, because that is a detox process. It's a very important one. But if you then come in and shower and use any soap, even if it's an organic soap, you've just washed off all the vitamin D as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
It sits on your skin and it absorbs through.
So what do you do then? Because obviously we go in, we're sweaty, we might be a bit stinky. What do you do?
Well, stinky, it depends on what you put in your body and what's coming out of your body. So for me, it's very rarely that I smell now when I sweat. I used to smell terrible, but now I don't really have that problem, because I have a very clean diet. And once you start eating clean and organic, when you do occasionally have, and I live on the 80-20 rule, but when I have that piece of shit, and I sweat the next day, I'm going to smell. It's that simple. I live on my own, so if I smell it, it doesn't worry me. And basically, I just use a flannel under my arms, and then I blend my own essential oils and cover myself in that. But obviously, you've sweated and you've sweated out detox. So I just have a little linen cloth, and I'll just wipe myself down,
Okay.
get the sweat off, and then leave it. And you know, if I smell, I wash that part. It's
Yeah, yeah.
we are so overly clean now.
No, I get
Don't
it.
have resistance.
Yeah, I'd happily not shower every day, but um, I don't know, we're conditioned into it, aren't we? And then when you're in a relationship with somebody as well, you want to be clean and fresh and all of that sort of stuff. And that's what gets you in the shower. That's what gets me in the shower anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, going back, 11 and a half years after the spinal fusion, my youngest daughter used to have to help me to the shower and shower me. So it didn't happen that often. And then, through all the depression and everything, I didn't want to get up.
No,
It was just, oh, sorry about that, Ping.
no
Funnily
worries.
enough, that is a message from my ex-husband giving me an update on funerals.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it's fine, but isn't it nice that we still talk? That we can still have
Absolutely.
those interactions, and I think without Matrix Reimprint, I would never have been able to have done that.
Really.
But it's been a whole journey. So with the book, I downloaded 56 different techniques. Each chapter is just 2 pages. On each one, I go, this is EFT, this is breath work. And then I talk you through some points on it. And then I send you to the experts that I learned from. And now I've been blessed enough to have virtually all of those experts that I learned from on the podcast,
Amazing.
which is
Amazing. I was going to ask you about the book because I've been thinking about a book for years. And it's like, would it be fiction? Would it be reality? Could it be reality turned into fiction? Because there's a lot going on in my past. But then I just think, oh God, it seems like such another chore to add into an already busy, busy time.
okay. So one of the things that I learned on the Hay House writing course, and by the way, I put my hand up, and I'm a shit hot manifester, me, and I will do that T-shirt. I'm a shit hot manifester. I put my hand up. There were 1,000 people online in a lockdown to ask a question to Reed Tracy, the CEO, and I said I'm going to write a book and I'm going to publish it before Christmas, and he just laughed and said good luck with that, and I did it. I literally signed it off on December the 20th, the 21st, the winter solstice. And it got put up straight away on Amazon, which is a weird story. Me having spent a day doing tapping, matrix reimprint, soma breath, didgeridoo, you name it, I did it. But the greatest piece of advice that I learned on that course is that everybody has a book inside of us. We all do. And if you think of it as a chore, you have to allocate writing time. Now, obviously, when you're writing and publishing a book in under 2.5 months, I had to write 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if it's something that you just want to put into your life because you know that you have to tell your story, it is literally 1 page a day that you have to write. So you just have to allocate an hour, a bit longer. You might be able to do it in 10 minutes. And once you've done your outline, it's really important to do the outline. And once you've got that outline in place, and again, you don't have to do it all in one day. It's fluid. It'll move, and then it's just one page a day, and then 365 days later, you have a book.
And when you say outline, what do you mean by outline?
So first of all, you have to work out your purpose of your book. Who it's for. What purpose is it? What are you going to tell people? How do you want to explain that to them? So for me, I explained it as a journal. You might want to explain it as a teaching memoir. So it's a teaching memoir is kind of like your story, but you're teaching along the way from your journey. You might want to write a novel. So you have to kind of work out what you want to write, and just get the outline ready.
Yeah.
And once the overview is done, you go, it's one day a page, one
Yeah.
page. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. I mean, surely I can do a page a day. So,
This is it. Because if you say to yourself, I'm writing a book, you go, oh,
oh,
oh no, I'm not. And and so doing this writing course, and I just thought, and he said one page a day, and I thought, well, if it's a journal, I can do this in 2.5 months. And Carl Dawson, when he read it, just said it's a genius collection. It's everything you need to know. And I start it very simply at the beginning, and I have quotes on each page, and I have a breath work on each page, and just little signs like which has now become my logo. I never knew I'd be doing this 5 years down the line. I just thought I need to get a book out, which my daughter drew for me. And it's an air tree. So it's the roots of the tree because we need to be grounded, the strength of the trunk, and then clouds for the branches because we are connected and we're connected to the above. And we need that strength of the tree. And there are hearts, so you can just check in and see how your heart feels, and water to check you've drunk enough water every day. So there's a lot of facts in there, but they're just put really, really simply. So, if you don't know about the Dirty Dozen, you'll find out about the Dirty Dozen. So, it's a list of food every year that is put out with the ones with the most chemicals, normally topped by strawberries and spinach. So if you're eating those two products, do try and get them organically, or even better, grow them yourself from your own good soil. So that's yeah. But I was saying the first exercise, because the one thing I had in abundance was self-loathing, a complete and utter hatred for myself. Partly because, in the art of classical ballet, you are never enough. You can never be enough. And partly because my mum had tried to abort me. And then when she failed, she tried to commit suicide. And when she failed, we ended up in a mental institution. So, there was a lot of trauma that I was holding from then. I believe very strongly in ancestral trauma and past lives. And there was a huge amount of trauma to deal with. But what I've discovered is, and what I know with all my heart, is that my mum had a saying, you and whose army? That army, they're
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And they're sitting up there all day, ladies and gentlemen, and they're twiddling their thumbs, going, fucking ask something, mate. Just do it. Just go out there and go, hello, my guardian angels. So talk to them.
Amazing.
If we all
When
do it, we won't look mad.
when did the podcast start?
Well, after I wrote the book, I kind of thought, oh, I was just on Facebook and I had about 200-300 friends and family. And my daughter said, well, and actually I learned it on the Hay House course as well. You have to start your social media and you have to start it before you write a book. So obviously I wasn't on any other platform. So my daughter signed me up and I started learning about Instagram and everything else. And then one day she introduced me to TikTok and said, okay, mother, now we're going on to TikTok. And I still had a lot of self-loathing then. So I couldn't hold up the camera. And I was crying. I can't do this. I look really old. And she said, oh, you are old. Okay, no, you don't need to tell me that. So I learned to do TikTok. And quite quickly, I reached a following of 44,000. And I thought, blimey. And Charles kind of going, how the fuck are you doing that, mother? She said, I've been doing it 2 years, so I'm still on 1,000. I'm going, I don't know, darling. But then I started getting posts taken down. So the first one was...
You're doing something right, Philly.
Yeah. But I didn't know about shadow banning and deplatforming then. I had no idea. So the first post taken down was the benefit of radishes. Second one was the benefit of stinging nettles. Third one was I cut my finger and I said, don't run it under a tap. It's full of fluoride. Put it in your mouth. You've got all these wonderful saliva bacteria that's going to heal it. That got taken down. Then I burnt myself and I said, go and get some lavender oil. Forget the ice, go and get the lavender oil. Spoke about the study and, the French scientists that had done all the work on lavender oil and burns back in the 1700s. Got taken down. And then I got deplatformed for doing a Soma Breathwork.
Wow.
And I didn't actually even do the Soma Breathwork. I was on one of the practitioner calls, and I said, I'm hopping on, I'm doing my Soma Breathwork, filmed my laptop and said, oh, Ashley's in the house, David's in the house, everyone coming on. Stopped my phone, lay down, did my training, put the phone above my head on my floor and just went, and that was amazing. And they deplatformed me.
But there are so many people doing Soma breathwork out there in the internet.
I know, but I just touched too many raw strings. So I got taken down. So I licked my wounds for a week.
So you got took down off TikTok totally, or did you come back on?
Totally, yeah, no, totally. And they took all my videos and I filmed them all in TikTok. So all the work that I'd done over that
Oh
year for the
no.
book had all gone.
That's the lesson, ladies and gentlemen. Do your own videos and bring them in that way.
Oh
Wow.
yes, oh yes. So I kind of thought, right, I'll get back on. And then I thought, what else can I do so that people can get this information? Because it's all well and good writing a book, but if nobody knows you've written a blooming book, I've got to get it out there. So I thought, right, I'm going to start a podcast. And I've just had my 3rd anniversary and I've published every week. As I said, I've interviewed some of the greatest names in natural health, heroes of mine, Zach Bush, MD in there, and, just Barbara O'Neill 3 times. It's been an extraordinary journey. And then this year, running up to this year, I kind of thought, right, how do we take this to the next level? It's all well and good me sitting there in a podcast studio and telling people all the wonderful things they can do for their health. But when you are sick, it's a lonely place. And even if you're learning it on the internet, and we now know that we have heavily censorship on the internet, so we can't really get out as much. I'm frequently taken down off YouTube, and that's fine. I just kind of know that that's not my platform. Spotify are letting me get stuff out, and I'm number 14, or last month I was number 14 in health and fitness on the Spotify chart. So you just kind of go, okay, so we are still reaching some people. I remember I did a podcast with Rachel Elno, and halfway through, I love Rachel.
Yeah.
Halfway through, she started talking about the royal family and paedophilia. And even Spotify took the sound off it. And we uploaded it, I don't know, a dozen times. But the really lovely thing is that I had an email in from my webpage from this guy. And he said, hi, Philly, I'm watching this. It was the first time I found out the sound had gone. Watching this brilliant, we love your podcast, I absolutely love it. Watching the one with Rachel, the sound's gone. And I need, can you send me the transcripts now? And I kind of like, I don't have transcripts. He said, but you have to. He said, I have this dinner party every Thursday night, and we listen to the release of your podcast and then discuss it. And they were in New York. And it's really weird to think that somebody's on the other side of listening to your podcast with a load of friends over and then discussing it.
How amazing.
I could never ever have wished for more than this. But I thought, okay, we've got to bring this to the people. So I did the first one with World Council for Health in February. I'm doing the second one, August the 5th, with Barbara O'Neill, and these are called Health Hubs. Okay, and so you come along. So the one with Barbara on the 5th of August, you come along and you will spend half a day. And this is a very, very intimate affair. It's 140 of you in a room. So you will spend half a day learning with Barbara and then having a Q&A. But your other half of your day, you will be in workshops, you will be with practitioners, you will be, we have wonderful exhibitors there, talking about the benefits of, say, Kangen water or colloidal silver. I've got my beautiful Lucy from Magic Active Silver there. I couldn't live without Active Silver, my magic gel. So I'm trying to bring in all the products that I use to introduce them to a wider audience. Because again, with Active Silver, I had another little tango with my boobie last year, where for the podcast, I'd done a thermogram. and I discovered that I had a big blotch of inflammation in my right boob. And for me, and I'm not saying anybody else should do this, but for me, I was not going and having a mammogram or a biopsy or any of that nonsense.
No.
So I don't know what it was. It was inflammation, but we know that all inflammation turns into dis-ease. So I had to go back to the detox, completely do the fast, back to Amchara, coffee enemas up my arse, lots of colonics, doing everything I needed to do. And I was taking vitamin E succinate and Luddle's iodine, and meditating on my boobie. And so every morning and night, I didn't touch it. I just literally used my energy field and just said, thank you so much with all my heart for showing up. I really bless you for giving me this opportunity to sort this out. Thank you. But now, with due respect, huge love and affection, I'm going to kindly ask you to fuck off. And I just throw it out the window. And I did that morning and night. And the weirdest thing happened. My whole boob, I lost a whole layer of skin. It was pussing, it was bleeding, it was unbelievably painful. And I had my magic gel and my colloidal silver, so I'm using that. And I also had Rob Kay, who I've had on the podcast, his magic cream. Rob Kay will be at the festival as well and at the Health Hub. He'll be doing a workshop, and his magic cream is magic but illegal. But a mine of information, that man. So I'm alternating those two creams. And I'm taking photographs of it all the way through the journey. So I've got a record, but each one I've got, my hand well over my nipple, and I'm just going in on the scabs on a daily basis, showing them. And then I did a little social media post. I just said, getting rid of some inflammation in my body through meditation. And somebody commented and said, oh my God, Philly, that looks so painful. What are you putting on it? And I said, I'm putting colloidal silver and Rob Kay's magic cream on it. And that post was taken down everywhere, every platform, for nudity.
Wow.
You could not see my nipple. There was no nudity in it.
Oh my God.
But within seconds, I had an email from YouTube to say that they had taken down a podcast that had been up for nearly a year on colloidal silver with the lovely Lucy from Active Silver.
Absolute arseholes.
Yeah.
Absolute arseholes.
So I thought, right, we've got to bring this to the people.
Yeah.
They can close me down, wherever they like. They can censor us, but they can't stop us coming together for these health hubs. So, you're going to meet all these wonderful people, talk through the benefits. They're all incredibly knowledgeable in their areas. And then if there's a practitioner, if you've got a problem, or even if you don't have a problem, you can just go, actually, I want to come and learn about tapping. Go and join the workshop with Penny Kroll. I want to learn, we've got Clive DeCarl there with his magic chairs. So we've got this whole array of information, and we're also building a health hub at the festival as well, so that you're not going to get many breaks because we've got 3 stages going solidly. But, you have to find those breaks and go and talk to these practitioners, go and see these practitioners. And things like, we've got Emma Estrella flying in, who is Wim Hof's right-hand woman. She's going to be doing the Wim Hof method down by the lake. So you'll be doing all of the breath work and then doing wild water swimming. We've got a wild spa. I mean, it's just, this is how we need to be building the new NHS, natural health system.
Yeah, totally agree. That all sounds amazing. Going back to what you were saying about TikTok and YouTube, as you know, I'm helping Joy out with a bit of media and stuff. And I set her up with TikTok, and I only realized yesterday that they've restricted. I've only put 5 posts up.
I put 5 posts up because I commented them on them all.
They've restricted 4 of them. They haven't taken them down. They're just restricting them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you absolute.
They are the worst.
But TikTok is supposed to be the alternative crowd, right? Which is why I thought perfect audience.
Yeah, no. I have one with Joy taken down on TikTok.
Well, I know Joy did one with Gareth Ike a few years ago, which got banned, but she's just done that's just gone up. She had a 15-minute that went up yesterday, I think, or the day before with Gareth. So, but he's not on YouTube anymore, is he? It's his own iconic. So that's what people have to do. They have to come away from these platforms. Yeah.
Find
I
your
mean, I got banned for a week, and so it made me start a Rumble. But I'm just so bad at keeping up to date with it all, you know. But it's something
It's a lot of hard work.
it
It's a
is,
lot of hard work.
it is. I know. Wow. I mean, your story is incredible, and it just shows you what is possible. You know, I'm always thinking about my son when I'm listening to inspirational stories about health, because he's tried, bless him, so many different things. And yeah, the other day I had John.
Got to ask you, Mel,
Yeah,
have you tried emotional work?
we've done RTT.
Okay.
He did psychotherapy for a while.
Okay.
I'm a Reiki practitioner. He's done it a couple of times, but I've actually got the Orinoco healing pod behind me, which is a frequency healing, which I've opened up for people literally in the last couple of weeks. And so he's going into that every day. Because when we both went and had our free session with another practitioner, we both had really quite incredible results. Um, and then I had John Gilbert on, which hasn't gone live yet, the other day from Community Assemblies of the British Isles, Cabby. I don't know if you've seen him.
No.
And he is also a frequency. He does all sorts, naturopath, frequency healing. Anyway, so after we'd stopped recording, I asked him if he could just, you know, as a headline, I told him a couple of things. He got his dowsing rods out, and he said he's tuned into the wrong. He's tuned into a fear frequency. That's what's going on, and
Ah,
that resonated for me because he has said so many times, "I'm scared of everything." And so basically, what John had said was, and he never used to be, by the way, and what John had said was, is he doing anything creative? Well, no, he's not. So I've said that to him. I said, look, this is a new one. We haven't heard this one before. You know, do something creative. And I've
yeah.
just noticed that he's ordered some stuff on Amazon, which I'm like,
Brilliant.
oh, okay.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I've got that in the journal, creativity and what it does for your health. And, just go and write, go and draw a picture, go and do a sketch. Again, it's free. It's a bit of paper and you just need a pencil or even a pen, do a pen sketch.
Yeah.
Um, but I haven't finished telling the first exercise in the book, and I am going to do this
Okay.
because I know we're getting to the end of the podcast. And I think this is just one of the most important exercises you can ever do in your life. So I asked you on the first page to take a photograph of yourself and stick it in the book. And there's just a line. If I asked you to tell me the 10 things you love most in the world, when would you mention yourself?
Oh,
And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines. And I ask you to write down 10 things you love about yourself. And do you know how hard that is? Oh, darling. Oh, just tap on that, sweetheart. Just tap. So this is my comfort point. So I go down my collarbones, inch down, and just tap. I know. I cried when I wrote it and I couldn't fit it in for a very long time. And I think it's an exercise that everybody should do and keep revisiting. And the last line in the book is, remember, where you are now is not your final destination.
I wasn't expecting that to hit me like a ton of bricks.
No, it did hit you, didn't it? I'm sorry, darling. I didn't mean to trigger you, but if I triggered you, it meant that something very, very deep is going on there.
Well, I am definitely hormonal at the moment as well because perimenopause. And you know, it's these days of I know what I'm like. The tears are not far away, or the agitation is not far away. But usually for me, it's mainly tears. So I know that exacerbates it. But yeah, that was like, whoa,
I'm sorry, lovely.
that's all right.
But that brought up an awful lot. You need to be doing that exercise. And I think your son needs to be doing that exercise as well.
Mm, I agree.
It is it is a very clever little book just to wind you through the journey.
Yeah. Okay, I'll check it out. Um, okay, well, I've loved chatting to you. I knew I would anyway. I was like watching your videos and stuff, and you're very good on video. You saying like, "Oh, I didn't want to be on video," and all the rest of it. I mean, obviously you've had a bit of practice now, but you're
I
very.
still hate it. I still look at myself and I go, "Oh my God, I've got old." But I'm in my
No,
60s, I'm old.
you look
Well, I'm not
great. You look great. Absolutely
40.
great. Okay, so just remind us then about the festival. It's the 8th to the 10th.
8th to the 10th of August. Come along, have a ball, learn everything you need to know about natural health. As I said, Barbara O'Neill, Charles Dowding, Gaz Oakley, but hundreds of amazing workshops, facilitators, practitioners, exhibitors in the Wasting Woods. Get your feet on the ground. We're going to do the 8-8 portal, as I said. We've got Liam Brown on the Saturday. Oh, we're going to miss this, Mel. I'm sorry about this. Liam Brown from Full Power Cacao doing the big cacao ceremony.
Yeah,
So
I do. We have his cacao. So what time's that? Is that in the evening, is it?
no, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, we'll be gone. Yeah.
No,
That's
but he's going to be on the main stage and guiding everybody through the ceremony. Danny Rampling DJing. We've got the whole blooming lot. We've got live bands. Talks and panels. We've got the People's Health Alliance there. It's going to be great. And just before that, on the Tuesday, the 5th of August, we've got our intimate little health hub at the College of Naturopathic Medicine. So if you want the health hub, go to my webpage, which is phillyjlay.com, and you can sign up to my newsletter. And I highly recommend you do, because it's very important that we all keep connected. So yeah, I do that. I try and keep them short and sweet, but let's just keep connected. If you want the festival tickets, then my webpage is thewellnesswayfestival.com. And we've been working on it for the last week, and it's now looking really good. I've done all of this on a wing and a prayer. I'm just this mad bitch that just kind of went, no, not on my watch. And it's like, okay, how do I do a festival? Oh, I'll learn as I go along. But I promise you, I can throw a good party. That goes back to my old life, so it's going to be one hell of a festival.
It sounds amazing. And if somebody wants to check out your podcast, where do they go?
I go to Spotify. It is on Apple Podcasts as well. It's in Rumble. On Spotify, you can get the videos as well as Rumble. Some of them go up on YouTube. Just got off another YouTube ban, so most probably won't be putting one up for a while. But yeah, I listen notes. Please write reviews, and this is for Mel's podcast as well. You will never know how much it helps and affects the algorithms when you just give it a 5-star review, write a couple of lines, and the algorithm will push it out to more and more people. We all live in this echo chamber of us awakened souls, and we need to be reaching other people. And so we need your help. We need you to do your part. We're
Yeah.
doing ours.
Yeah.
Mel, thank you for what you're doing, my lovely.
No, and likewise, my podcast was never meant to be truthers and all the rest of it. It started off with just ordinary, extraordinary people who decided not to settle in life in whatever that looked like. But I've been on the journey for the last 5 years in terms of being blown wide open. Always alternative, always challenging, very spiritual, but not fully appreciating the extent of the fuckery that has been done to us and the psychos that are running the world. So that was all quite an awakening in 2020. And then last year was when I started to have, and Mick Butler was my first one, who's now my partner, who runs a sovereign project, all about, writing notices and challenging things and all the rest of it. And it's just grown from there. And I wasn't bothered really with YouTube, and then that's where I'm concentrating. But it is frustrating because, and I'm over 6,500 subscribers now. At the beginning of the year, I was on about 800.
Brilliant.
So it is really, really good. Yeah.
Great.
And I've had a strike, I've had a ban for a week, so I'm doing something right, but I'm trying to not have that happen again. But we'll see anyway.
Yeah.
But thank you again, Philly. well, I mean, you're going to be busy down at the festival, so hopefully I'll get to wave at you while you're
Come
running
and give me a
frantically
hug.
around.
Give me a hug. I'll be disappointed if you don't come and give me a hug. You might have to remind me who you are because my head will not, I doubt if I will even recognize my children over that 3 days of my life. I'm going to be on another planet.
Okay, all right. So I look forward to seeing you then. Good luck with everything you're doing, the
Lovely. Bless you.
podcast. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.